Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the Medical Board of California Midwifery Advisory Council meeting. Pursuant to SB 189, this meeting is being conducted via WebEx. Public comments will be heard for individuals wishing to do so. In order to be ready for public comment, we ask to please ensure that your comments can be heard clearly by connecting to the audio of this meeting through the proper method. If you are having difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting, it could be because the device you are connecting with has bandwidth limitations. If you have difficulty hearing the audio of this meeting using your device, please click the ellipsis button at the bottom of the WebEx application or the audio and video menu item at the top of the WebEx application, and then select Switch Audio. You will see an option to call in and will be provided with a telephone number, access code, and attendee ID that can be used to connect to the meeting audio via phone. Using the information provided, it will automatically disconnect your device's audio and connect your phone to the name you joined this meeting with. By using this method, if you are having audio problems with your device, this will still allow you to participate and hear the audio of the board meeting. Please see the instructions on how to connect link on the last page of the meeting agenda for step-by-step WebEx instructions, including screenshots. Thank you, Ms. Brigley. You can now start the meeting. Sorry, Ms. Brigley, you're still on mute.
Find my unmute button. Well, thank you. I would like to welcome you to the Midwifery Advisory Council meeting. I'm Claudia Brelia, the Vice Chair of this Advisory Council. Since this meeting is being conducted via WebEx, I will ask all MAC members and speakers to announce themselves by name before speaking for clarity of the official record. All MAC members are able to unmute themselves to speak during the meeting. Please place yourself back on mute when not speaking to reduce background noise for all participants. Following such online meeting etiquette will ensure the best audio quality for everyone. During each call for comments from MAC members and speakers, we will ensure that all comments that can be accommodated are heard before proceeding with the agenda. Government Code Section 11126.5 allows a board to remove people who willfully interrupt a meeting and to clear the room or virtual space if order cannot be restored by removing or muting the disruptive people. During each agenda item, the host moderating this WebEx will activate the Q&A and hand-raising features of WebEx and will ask anyone wishing to make a public comment to indicate so by replying yes in the Q&A window or by raising their hand. The host will then call on individuals who indicated they wish to make public comments by name. When called upon, the host will unmute the microphone of the individual and they will be able to make their public comment. After the comment, the individual will be placed back on mute. Please see the agenda for WebEx instructions on how to connect from the link on the agenda and additional instructions. The board's IT staff will assist me with receiving the public comments via WebEx during this meeting. MAC members, as a reminder, during today's meetings, any item requiring a vote will be done by roll call vote. This means that once a motion is made and seconded, Ms. Moriarty will call each of the names individually to request our vote. I would now like to call the meeting to order and ask that Ms. Moriarty please call the roll.
Ms. Corinne?
Here.
Ms. Webster?
Here.
Ms. Woodley?
Here.
And Ms. Brelia?
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. So moving to agenda item number 2, public comments on items not on the agenda. Are there any public comments?
Give me just a second here, Ms. Brigley. I'll go ahead and activate the Q&A window and the hand-raising feature of WebEx. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, you can either raise your hand, or if you can't find that little button down at the bottom, go ahead and just type anything in the Q&A box. You don't have to type your question. It can just be, I'd like to make a public comment, and we'll call on you in the order received. Give everyone a minute here or so to indicate if they would like to. And actually, I do see one call-in user. If you're on a call-in only line, meaning that you're not connected by a computer at all, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your phone. That will toggle raising your hand up and down as well, too. Okay, I'll go ahead and leave the Q&A window open just in case there's any late ones. Oh, here we go. I have a message here from one of the applicants, I believe for agenda item 13. I believe we're gonna speak to the applicants at that time, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and call you at that time. At this time, I don't see other requests for public comment though.
Okay, thank you. Moving to agenda item number 3, approval of the minutes from the March 3rd, 2022 Midwifery Advisory Council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the March MAC meeting minutes from the members? I'm going to take that as a no. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the March MAC meeting as submitted, please? Any motion to accept?
This is Tisa. I move to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Tisa. Do I have a second, or can I second that?
I second. This is Monique Webster.
Thank you, Monique. Is there any public comment?
The hand raising feature and the Q&A window are still both open. Anyone wish to make a public comment? Go ahead and just type anything in there or raise your hand. Give it 10 more seconds here. We'll see if we get any responses. Okay, Ms. Bradley, I don't think at this time I see any requests.
Okay. Ms. Moriarty, please perform the roll call.
Ms. Karen,
Approve.
Ms. Webster,
Approve.
Ms. Woodley,
Approve.
and Ms. Bralia.
Approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So moving to agenda item number 4, which is the report from the Midwifery Advisory Council Vice Chair. That's me. I don't really have an update. Ms. Woodley, is this your first meeting? Well,
First official.
well, then I would really like to welcome you and thank you for joining our board.
Thank you.
This is first meeting as vice chair running the meeting since Diane Holzer has left, and she was an amazing chair. I learned a lot from her. But it seems like forever since we've had a meeting, so I don't have a whole lot to say. Are there any questions or comments or anything that any of the members of the MAC would like to say at this time? Okay, are there any public comments?
Again, the hand raising feature and the Q&A window are open. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please go ahead and indicate so. A few more seconds here. Okay, Ms. Bradley, I think we're cleared to proceed.
Okay, so moving to agenda item number 5, establishing goals for the Midwifery Advisory Council. At our last meeting, we had decided not to add any goals, that we were working on a lot of things. And we will find out through the meeting where we're at on all of them. But I was thinking, since it's been a while since we had a meeting, this would be a good time to go over what our goals are to date and see if that still meets our needs. So I know we have a Medi-Cal task force. And we're working on the LMAR letter and form. Is there anything, what other goals do we have stated?
This is Tisa. I'm not aware of anything else that we're currently working on.
Okay. All right. Is there anything that you think we should be working on at this point?
I'd like to hear some public comment on that.
Okay. Anybody else from the MAC have any input? Okay, then I would also like to hear public comments. So let's go to public comment.
Anyone wishing to make a public comment? The hand raising feature in chat and Q&A window are open for anyone wishing to make a public comment. You can go ahead and do either of those. We'll call on you in the order received. I'm not seeing any requests for public comment at this time.
Okay. Let's see. So moving to agenda item number 6, which is a report from the task force and possible action on Medi-Cal related issues. Ms. Corin, would you like to give your report, please?
Yes, absolutely. So in regards to where the Medi-Cal task force is we're closely following the IMI initiative, which, I should have written it down so I could remember, maybe Integrated Midwifery Initiative. And right now, the California initiative is currently working on specifically developing new codes, new billing codes, specifically for midwifery model of care, which we are looking at a valued-based care model. So that way we can possibly bring that to insurance companies and have them reimburse us at a reasonable rate for the type of care that midwives provide. That's currently where we're sitting with the IMI initiative in California, where it's probably going to be a couple of years before this all starts to pan out, but there are many insurance companies who are also stakeholders and sitting at the table with these discussions, and they're very open to what we are saying and what our suggestions are. As far as Medi-Cal in this state, what I am personally hearing from other midwives is that everybody is kind of taking a step backwards in their payments. A lot of insurance companies are not contracting with midwives right now. What was working is tending to not work anymore. Some people are doing really well, but a lot of practices are not doing so well when it comes to Medi-Cal reimbursement and facility fees and whatnot. There was an announcement by DHS that says that fee-for-service was going to go away and that all Medi-Cal beneficiaries would fall under MCPs, so medical plans. And so this now puts us in a position of having to negotiate with medical care plans for reimbursements instead of going through Medi-Cal to get reimbursement directly. Which again, since midwifery care has not so much been a part of the system in history, those negotiations are very slow, very cumbersome because of the fact that a lot of these insurance plans have no idea who midwives are, what their scope of practice is, and how to reimburse us. So it's kind of where we are in the task force right now.
Thank you, Ms. Curran. I appreciate you working on this too, because it's just more than I can even wrap my head around. And I know how important it is for all of us in California. Do we have any questions or comments from MAC members?
This is Monique Webster. Thank you very much for your work on this. I don't have any comment, but I appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you. Ms. Webster, are there any other members who would like to speak? All right, are there any public comments?
The hand raising feature and Q&A window are open. Anyone wishing to make a public comment? Okay, this I'm not seeing any requests.
Okay. Moving to agenda item number 7, update and possible action on proposed regulatory language for the licensed annual report. Ms. Webb?
Good afternoon, members. I have a quick report for you with regard to the proposed rulemaking to require midwives to collect information on their clients' race and ethnicity as part of the licensed midwife annual report. Draft language had been approved by the MAC and the board and was submitted to the Department of Consumer Affairs in August for review. They have come back with some proposed modifications, and I anticipate being able to work through those and bring those to the next MAC meeting for review and approval or additional suggestions. That concludes my report.
Okay, so thank you, Ms. Webb. Thank you, Ms. Webb. Does that mean that, that obviously means that that language will not be on this year's LMAR?
That's right.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the members? Are there any public comments?
Okay, again, the Q&A window and the hand raising feature are active for anyone wishing to make a public comment. Give everyone a few seconds here. Ms. Bradley, I'm not seeing any requests. Sorry, Ms. Bradley, you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Moving to agenda item number 8, update on midwifery related legislation and sunset review. Mr. Bone is not here. Who reads that report? Am I supposed to read that report?
Ms. Bregley, this is Marina O'Connor. Nobody has to technically read it. It's made available to the public on our website. It was provided to the members. So really at this point, it's just if the members have any questions or comments on the report provided by Mr. Bone.
Okay. Does you have any questions or comments on the report?
I will say that I think the key point is that the board still supports the midwives having their own licensing board. And so that is part of the sunset review report.
Okay, that is excellent. Okay. Where am I? Are there any questions or comments from members? Did I already ask that? Okay, are there any public comments?
The Q&A window is open for anyone wishing to make a public comment. Also, the raising hand feature. Everyone a few minutes to request if they're interested. Ms. Bradley, I'm not seeing any requests.
Okay, I would be interested in hearing if anyone has any update on Calm's efforts to establish that board and get legislation passed. Is there anyone here who can? I had hoped she would be at this meeting. So, oh, she is here. Can I ask for public comment? See if she would like to speak to this issue.
Sorry, Ms. Brigley, you broke up a little bit there. What were you saying?
Can I reopen for comments, for public comments, so that if Ms. Davis would like to give us an update on that?
Sure.
on
And
Google?
okay, and I saw Ms. Weisner's hand go up for a second too. Let me call Ms. Weisner first, and then I
Okay.
do see Rosanna Davis here as well. Ms. Weisner, you should be receiving a prompt on your end there to unmute. Looks like your line's open. I know it takes a second there. Ms. Weisner, are you there?
Yep, I was just on mute. Hi, I'm Madeline Weisner. I'm the Vice President of Quorum. I'm happy to give an update. I had the extreme pleasure of attending the medical board meeting in December, where there weren't a whole lot of updates to the licensed midwife program. As far as legislation goes, we were able to secure an author recently for a licensed midwife bill, but it didn't go further than that. It was killed in committee pretty quickly. So we are continuing to work on a different legislative strategy at this time. I know we can't really go back and forth, but I'm available to answer questions offline if folks have them.
Brigley, you're still on mute there.
I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting that. Thank you, Ms. Weisner. Is there anyone else? And then we can move on.
We also have Rosanna Davis here with her hand up. Rosanna, you should be receiving a prompt on your end to unmute. There you go. Looks like your line's open.
Can you hear me?
We can. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have much to add to what Madeline said, except, you know, yeah, that's it. So thanks, Maddie, for weighing in on that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there, oh wait. Okay, so I guess we're done with that agenda item at this point. So moving
Ms.
to
Breglia, just so you're aware, I don't know if the paperwork is near your laptop microphone or something like that. It seems like if you're moving some papers, that's what's cutting your voice out.
Oh, okay. I'm probably covering my microphone, which I have no idea where it is with the paper. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I believe we are on agenda item number 9, which is a program update from Ms. Moriarty. Ms. Moriarty, please proceed with the program update.
Thank you. Please turn to tab 9A1 of the packet for the Midwifery Program licensing statistics. In the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the board received a total of 31 new applications, issued 31 new licenses, and renewed 206 licenses. As of October 1st, 2022, there were 494 renewed and current midwifery licenses. In the first quarter of fiscal year 2022-2023, the board received 9 new applications and issued 11 new licenses and renewed 53 licenses. Please turn to page 9B1. In the fiscal year 2021-2022, the board received a total of 206 transfer of planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms for licensed midwives. In the first quarter of fiscal year 2022-2023, the board received 56 transfer of planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms for licensed midwives. Please turn to page 9C1. For enforcement statistics for licensed midwives. In the 2021-2022 fiscal year, the board received a total of 14 complaints and referred 2 for investigation. In the first quarter of fiscal year 2022-2023, the board received 6 complaints and referred none for investigation. Please turn to page 9C2. In fiscal year 2021-2022, the board received a total of 9 complaints for unlicensed midwives and referred 1 for investigation. The board received 0 complaints in the first quarter of fiscal year 2022-2023 for unlicensed midwives. Please turn to page 9C3 for enforcement statistics for transfer of planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms for licensed midwives. In the fiscal year 2021-2022, a total of 206 reporting forms were received and none were referred for investigation. In the first quarter of 2022-2023 fiscal year, 56 transfer of planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms were received and 0 were referred for investigation. Please turn to page 9C4 for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. The board received a total of 2 transfer of planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms for unlicensed midwives, and none were referred for investigation. In the first quarter of the 2022-2023 fiscal year, the board received 2 transfer planned out-of-hospital delivery to hospital reporting forms for unlicensed midwives, and none were referred for investigation. Please turn to page 9D for the 2021 Licensed Midwife Annual Report Summary. For 2021, there were 569 midwives expected to report. Of those, the Department of Healthcare Access and Information received 421 reports, leaving 148 licensed midwives that did not report as of July 29, 2022. The total number of clients served during this calendar year was 7,976, an increase of 623 from last year. The number of clients who left care was 413 compared to 366 last year, an increase of 47. 3 sets of multiples were delivered out of hospital in 2021. The number of planned out of hospital births at the onset of labor was 5,354 compared to 4,776 last year, an increase of 578. And the number of completed births in an out-of-hospital setting was 4,511 compared to 4,050 last year, an increase of 461. Pages 11, 12, and 13 identify the outcomes per county in which birth, fetal demise, or infant or maternal death occurred. Compared to last year, the number of deaths of fetal demise decreased by 3, and the number of infant deaths decreased by 3. There were no reports of maternal death in 2020 or 2021. Thank you. That concludes my update.
Thank you, Ms. Moriarty. Are there any questions or comments from members?
This is Tisa. Just totally impressed by our numbers, and I love it. I wish that we had all the numbers in, because I know that's not all of them, but good numbers.
Yes. Does anyone remember what the increase was last year? I wonder, I'll have to go back and look, because I'm willing to bet that that number has increased dramatically from in the 2019 to 2020 and 2020 to 2021 years as well.
Claudia, I vaguely remember the numbers being somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 births out of hospital, because I remember thinking that is so low. It didn't sound right. So if that's true and we're up to 7,000, that's almost a 30% increase, if not more, maybe 40 to 50% increase from last year. So that's fantastic. And like I said, not all the numbers are in.
Yeah. Okay, any other comments from board members? Are there any public comments?
The Q&A window and hand-raising features are still active. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, please go ahead and type anything in that Q&A window or raise your hand and we'll call on you in the order of receipt. Give everyone a few seconds here. Okay, Ms. Bradley, I'm not seeing any requests at this time.
Okay, so thank you. Moving to agenda item number 10, which is discussion and possible action on licensed midwife annual report reminder letter and worksheet. Ms. Curran is still working on the LMAR worksheet, and this item will be presented at the next MAC meeting. Are there any comments or questions from the members?
I would like to suggest that that we take this off of our agenda and that this becomes more of a midwife thing, not so much a MAC board thing. So if somebody wanted to develop a worksheet and they wanted to share it with other midwives, that they could, instead of making this something more official, because it seems to be dragging. It's been dragging on for a year because of our meeting issues. So that's my 2 cents about the matter. Because I could have this developed today and anybody who wanted it could get it from me without having to wait for another meeting.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and if we were to do that, we could always, would we be able to revisit it and adopt it as an official thing that could go on the website, or does it have to
Absolutely.
through the
So if
MAC?
we did that, because obviously it won't be available for this year's LMARs, it won't be available to midwives because we won't have another meeting to approve it before the LMARs are due. So if we wanted to take it off our agenda for now and then possibly put it on for the next meeting to revisit it, I could present the worksheet that had been in flow. And then maybe I'll have some feedback as well from the midwives if they liked it or not.
Okay, then I think and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the best course of action is to leave it on the agenda. But if creating this worksheet is on the agenda as a thing the MAC is doing, here's my legal question. Are we able to, in a non-MAC related way, in a non-council related way, distribute it to midwives when it is ready, and then revisit it as a official MAC thing that goes on the website and is sent out with the reminder letter at the next meeting?
So what I'm hearing is that we have a licensed midwife who is working on a worksheet to make the LMAR easier for midwives to complete. And that may be circulated around the community to be tested. But at some point, if it's useful, you want to have this reviewed by the MAC for public comment and approval to be considered for placement on the board's website as a tool. And I think that that's appropriate. Now,
Okay.
what can't happen is for MAC members, more than 2 MAC members working on this as part of their, MAC duties.
Correct.
But because that could violate the Open Meeting Act. So I'm not hearing Ms. Curran say that that's the plan. But I think it's fine to keep it on the agenda and to work on this for consideration at the next MAC meeting.
Does that answer your concerns, Tisa?
Yeah, I didn't have any concerns. Basically, like I said, I'm willing to distribute my work with the form that I develop. Anybody can ask and request that information from me. And again, later on, if the MAC board wants to adopt that form as something that we use as a tool later, then that's absolutely fine. It will not be distributed for any type of monetary gain or anything like that.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Curran. Are there any public comments or anybody else on the any other members who would like to comment?
I did want to comment real quick that in case anybody didn't know, this year's LMAR is open if you wanted to get started on that. I just checked this morning.
Thank you for that information. And I would like to just reinforce how important it is that we encourage all midwives in California to complete their LMAR. We've seen how useful this data can be, and it can only help to have all of the midwives in the state reporting their data. Okay, any other members? Okay, are there any public comments?
The Q&A window and hand raising feature active for anyone wishing to make a public comment. Everyone, a few seconds. Okay, this time, oh yeah, we got Rosanna Davis. Rosanna, you should be receiving that prompt on your end there.
Yeah, just really quickly, it's great to see these great statistics. It'll be interesting to compare them to previous years. And thank you, Tisa, for working on the worksheet. That'll be very helpful for the midwives. Hope we can help you distribute it if you want, or there's the Calm Google list, which goes out to quite a few. But that's all. Thanks for the work on this, everyone, including staff. Appreciate it.
Okay, at this time I'm not seeing any additional requests.
Thank you. All right, then moving to agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action on midwifery schools and information on the board's website. At the March MAC meeting, council members requested more information be made available on the board's website regarding how midwifery schools obtain board approval. Board staff have prepared a draft of the website information for the council's review. Ms. Moriarty, please proceed with an overview of the proposed website content.
Please see agenda item 11. This document is a rough draft and is being provided to the MAC for discussion. The board also has a matrix that is updating that will provide a detailed list of requirements. And Ms. Bralia, you may proceed with discussion with the MAC regarding this agenda item.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any comments about this language or about this document, this draft?
Would you like one of us to go through it for the sake of the meeting?
That would be great.
I don't mind doing that. So it looks like we have a document that states what the school approval requirements are. And it simply states that midwifery education program executive summary is required. It looks like the elements of the school's program that must discuss the points such as establishment, key executives, board directors, achievements, accreditation period, distance learning capabilities, education program improvements, and title. I think that's 6, Title 4 eligibility. Complete curriculum educational objectives. So include the curriculum and educational objectives, combining your course summaries along with these objectives is appropriate. Midwifery education program examination. So you need to maybe present it in the form of a test content online. This on outline, okay, so it's saying that a test content outline, maybe an outline of what examination process looks like for your school, and then a copy of the summarized results of a school accreditation review. The Midwifery Education Accreditation Council self-evaluation report, standards 1 through number 13, or a comparable evaluation document and documentation of accreditation. And then a current school catalog. So those 5 requirements are submitted with the application to the Medical Board of California, and it gives the California Medical Board's website and a point of contact. Well, yep, and Miss Moriarty's contact information.
Thank you. So I have a question. This is how to start a school, but I'm wondering if there is additional, if that would be the same process for submitting a challenge process. Or I was looking this morning at the medical board website at our approved schools and challenge programs and noticed that it's pretty out of date, and that we're down to 1 challenge process, which I know was closed for a while and is now reopened.
Ms. Breglia, can you state what a challenge process is specifically for licensure?
So a challenge process is for someone who has received their education through a means and their CPM credential through a means that is not an approved medical board school of midwifery. So, for instance, there are schools that are not approved. There's the PEP process. There are foreign trained midwives, and the challenge process ensures that all of the requirements have been met and that that the person has the equivalent of what would be approved by the medical board. Right now, the NMI, the National Midwifery Institute, has the only challenge process. Maternidad La Luz used to have one, but they're no longer accredited. So they're no longer able to give their challenge exam.
So you're wondering if a school that wanted to present just their challenge process to the medical board, if they'd have to go through this same process?
Well, I have a number of questions about challenge processes. I guess that's a whole different topic. So maybe that has to be discussed differently. So we're getting off the topic of this document. But I would also like to see information about how to go about developing a challenge process and things like, does it have to be through an accredited school, or can it be a program to meet requirements that is not independently accredited? Things like that. So maybe we could put this on the agenda as another item to request clarification of requirements for challenge processes and or challenge programs and what that process is.
That sounds like a future agenda item.
Okay.
Who would know, who would do that though? Who'd research that? One of us members, or is it a medical board question?
It's a medical board question, and it should, I believe that staff would be the ones who find out that information. It's all within the rules.
Gotcha.
I'm just not even sure where to find them.
Yeah. So for this document, we're evaluating whether it's sufficient, and we're going to approve it for adding to the website.
I believe so. What agenda item are we? 10. I don't know what happened to my 11.
It's agenda item 11.
Oh, there it is. I put it out of the way so I would not cover my microphone. And then I lost it. All right. So my understanding is this is proposed language to go on the website. And we are supposed to approve it or ask for changes.
So I do have some questions about this document. Ms. Moriarty, if you can answer, is there not actually a form to fill out with this, with support, with all these, like to submit with these materials? Is there an actual application on the medical board's website?
It is not currently on the website. The board is also working currently on a matrix. So we're working on updating the matrix. This is just a rough draft brought to the MAC for discussion. And if you'd like any changes or additions, like I said, it's a rough draft. So we are still working on it at the board as well.
Gotcha.
Okay, so, right, so to me, this looks like here's the requirements, but there's still nothing on the medical board website about how to do the process. So this tells the requirements and says prepare the documents and submit, but it doesn't give the actual process. So whether that's done by telling people to contact Ms. Moriarty, or whether it's done through, you can find links and forms and whatever in this place. I think that's important, so that people who are wanting to start schools know how to do that. Like, what is the process for applying, not just what are the requirements?
I think that's what Ms. Moriarty was saying, that they're developing the matrix right now. They're updating the matrix. Can you comment on that, please? Ms.
Yeah, and
Moriarty?
I'll just add to that. So there, like you said, there's no web page right now that says, hey, if you want to apply for medical board approval, this is how you do it. This is a start of what we want to at least put on that web page when we do create it. That'll say, it'll say something like, midwifery school, application or applications. It'll have its own page. And then this is at the minimum the information we want to list about the requirements for approval. But yes, as you said, absolutely, you know, okay, here's the form you have to fill out, here's how you submit it. You know, this would probably be the information underneath that saying, you know, when you submit your application, be sure to include, you know, all of these things as well. I think, you know, what we're definitely interested in is this on the right track as far as the type of information you think would be helpful other than the process and how to submit their application, that would be helpful for anyone interested in starting a school. And I know Ms. Moriarty mentioned the matrix. That's basically a much more detailed checklist of all the requirements, which I think would be very helpful. It would probably be in a worksheet format, but that's something we are working on. And it could accompany, you know, that website. It could be linked to on that website, so someone could click the worksheet and see, oh, here's all my checklist of requirements I need to go through. But I just kind of wanted to make sure this is what the, you know, council had in mind, or if there's, like you said, anything else about adding more information with the process. Absolutely, we'll add that. Make sure it's clear they know how to apply. And so if any, even on the information on this document right now, if there's anything you think we should add or explain better, we're looking for that that feedback as well.
Any comment from the members?
I find that it looks pretty adequate to me. So.
Yes. I do find the phrase, please prepare the documents listed below and submit, to be misleading when there is a process that's not yet shared. So I'm wondering how to get around that, or is this not going to go up until that process is created?
That was yeah, if you want to go ahead and comment, go ahead. But it sounded to me that that was the process.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct. This is the information that will be displayed on that new web page, probably
Okay.
supplemental to here's the application you need to complete and submit to the board. You know, here's the requirements for the application process. Make sure you're providing all these documents with the application. So it would be supplemental, but I agree with you that we got to make sure the wording works for whatever goes before this part, you know, as far as what to submit and how to submit it, that it's together. It's not just these documents, right, that they have to prepare and submit. There's an actual form. So yes, we'll be sure to make sure it's fluid. It's clear how the information's presented as far as what needs to be submitted and at what time and how. So absolutely, we'll pay attention to that language when we, you know, more fully develop it for the website.
Thank you. At this point, it looks good to me. That's a lot more information than I've ever had, and so are we? Oh, any more comments from the board? And do we have any public comments?
The Q&A window and the hand raising feature are open for anyone wishing to make a public comment. You can go ahead and raise your hand or just type anything in that Q&A box and we'll call on you. Give everyone a few seconds here. Okay, this time I'm not seeing any requests. Oh, late one in here from Rosanna Davis. Rosanna, you should be getting that request on your end.
Sorry, it always takes me a minute to find that button again. Yeah, I just briefly want to say thanks. This will go a long ways to improving content on the website and transparency about how to bring on new programs. Thank you for the work that got put into this. That's all.
Thank
Great,
you,
thank you very
Rosa.
much.
Thank you.
Ms. Breglia, this is an action item. Did you want
Oh.
to vote to approve it
Okay.
now or continue the item?
I would make a motion to approve it. Can I make motions or do I have to get someone else to make a motion?
You can make,
Are we still continuing this item
Oh.
though? We're not quite there yet. We're looking for more, we're looking for that matrix to be developed and kind of see how that plays out.
So maybe
If I
I'm
could
not-
just make just a suggestion,
please.
and Carrie, please correct me if I'm wrong here. I think there's a couple options. I think you can approve it with, you know, delegating authority to board staff to continue to work on it, maybe in conjunction with the chair once selected or something like that. Or if you want to bring it back to the group, then like you were saying, you know, just staff continues to work on this. And then if you want it to come back, you know, to the council at a meeting, then we can bring it back to the next meeting as well. So I think those are a couple options.
Okay.
oh, that's fine. And frankly, I mean, it is a board staff function to keep working on the website and updating the information. And so that should be in a continuous process. But since it was identified as an action item, I wanted to give you the opportunity to do a formal motion. But the work will continue regardless.
Okay.
You don't have to do a motion and it will still continue, but if you, and you can add this as a future agenda item still to have the matter brought back.
Would that delay its appearance on the website?
I think that's dependent on if the chief believes it's ready to go up and if it's approved by exec staff.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds
It
to
would
me
be
like this.
helpful to have your input, your formal
Yeah.
input.
Yeah, it sounds to me like we're just providing input on this document. It's not our document, it's the medical board's document and their process. So personally, I would like to see the whole process before saying like this is good language for this
Okay.
document. Until I see the matrix and see what the whole process is supposed to look like, then I personally wouldn't be able to give comment. But this document looks good so far, and I think it's very clear. But I would like to put it. I'd like to put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and it looks like, you know, I know it's coming up, the vote on the next meeting dates, but the next one would either be March or April. So as long as you guys are okay with that, we'll make sure at the next meeting we have the complete draft of the webpage, the matrix, so that you guys can see everything. If that's what you prefer, no problem at all.
That'd be excellent.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor, and thank you for answering the same question repeatedly with such patience.
Oh, no problem. Here to answer any questions.
Okay, so moving to agenda item number 12, appointment of officers pursuant to the administrative manual. Is there a nomination for chair of the council?
Is this coming from members or from?
From members, and then we go to the audience.
Okay.
Well, I would like to recommend Ms. Quorum. I know that traditionally the vice chair moves up to be the chair. However, I'm concerned that I'm at least halfway through my second term and may not have a lot of time left on the council. Um, can any staff clarify that for me? I feel like it was close to 2 years ago. No?
So
Okay.
just sorry, I'm
Ms.
not sure I
Bradley,
understood the question. What do you want to know when your term expires?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think it's
Ms.
really
Bradley,
soon.
Ms. Bradley, this is Tanya. Just give me 1 second and I can tell you that information.
Thank you.
So then you're probably wondering if you were to step up as chair, if your term starts over as well?
No, what I'm thinking is if I step up as chair and then my term expires after the next meeting.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume that if you took a different position on the board that the term changes, but that would be good for clarification.
I have it here, Ms. Breglia. It's your term expires June 30th, 2023.
So it's basically right after our next meeting. So the
Yes.
question is, should we start with someone who is earlier in their tenure, or do you want to nominate me to move up to chair and then have to do that again at the next meeting? Designate someone to be chair for the following meeting.
It looks like Ms. Corinne's term expires at the same time, but this is your first term, right? So you're eligible to serve an additional term. Just for background info.
Is that the same for Claudia as well?
No, this is my second term, so I can't reapply
Gotcha.
June.
Okay. So what would happen if we had, I know if we had Ms. Breglia step up as chair, then left our vice chair position open and had re-elections in our next meeting? Is that?
I suggest filling both positions just in case she's not available to run the meeting. We know who the vice chair is, and that person can be prepared to take over the meeting. That doesn't mean that at the next meeting, when elections are done, that those positions can change.
Right.
I think the practices that the vice chair would take over that position until it's time to do elections again.
Okay, so so we need a chair and a vice chair, and we need nominations for both positions.
Oh, goodness. All right.
Is there anyone else, any other members who would like to weigh in on this?
This is Monique Webster. I will be moving out of state in the fall, so I might not be a good contender either.
Oh dear. It looks like our next year is going to be like this past year. Okay, so how about
Wait, can I just say one more thing? This is Monique Webster. We're
Sure.
electing a couple new members today. Would it be better to postpone this to the next meeting? Because then we have a larger pool um, from which to choose.
Ms. Webb, do we just kind of need somebody to sit in the chair position until we have re-elections in our next meeting? Is that what we're doing?
Right. It's challenging because it's time to do the elections. The members, even if the MAC approves them today, they have to be approved by the medical board to become part of the MAC. So, I mean, if you don't take action, it just
Mm-hmm.
you're not taking action, and Ms. Breglia is still the vice chair come next meeting.
So, right. So at the next meeting, that will be my last meeting, and unless Ms. Curran decides to reapply, it will be her next meeting. So we're basically talking about the next meeting, and then at that meeting, we're going to have to revisit this and get a new chair and vice chair. So I'm looking at the agenda, and it looks like we are only nominating a chair as opposed to a chair and a vice chair. Is that correct? Or can we do both?
I believe it's chair, but my understanding is if you're nominated as the chair, then you would also need to do a vote on the vice chair. At least that's my understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well, it seems easier then if I'm nominated to be chair, and then I can nominate Tisa to be vice chair. And so I guess, Tisa, you're being nominated, or I don't know, I guess somebody still needs to make a motion to nominate someone to be the chair.
Claudia, I nominate you to be the chair.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Woodley.
Barbara, sorry, I forgot to announce myself.
I second that.
Okay, so are there any questions or comments from the members?
I guess I kind of seek some clarity, like what you're talking about, if you're concerned that you're not going to be around after June. I do feel like I am going to seek reappointment. So I don't know if that makes things easier for you either. I would not be opposed to taking a chair position if that makes it easier for you to transition out in June, instead of running the meeting in June, really only to be running, maybe not even be there. I'm not sure. When are we going to have a meeting? March or April?
It'll be March. That's another agenda item. We have to vote on the next one, but it's either March 30th or the other. So I will be at the next meeting.
Okay.
Well, I want to say that my notes indicated that Ms. Breglia nominated Ms. Corinne for the chair position to start out with, and then there was further discussion, but that I have that in my notes that did occur. And so if Ms. Corinne accepts that, then that's one nomination, and then Ms. Woodley also nominated Ms. Breglia for the chair position. And if Ms. Breglia accepts that nomination, then we have two people to consider and for the members to vote on. So I'm not sure if that was what was intended, but that's what my notes reflect.
Okay, so I didn't believe I was nominating. I was recommending that we nominate because I didn't realize that Ms. Curran's term was also up.
Okay.
My concern was not that I'm not going to be here or that I don't want to run another meeting. My concern was creating continuity, which is, I mean, I certainly hope that Ms. Curran will remain on the Midwifery Advisory Council, but that point is kind of moot if her term is up. So,
No, she can reapply. And I mean,
right.
it'll have to be voted
Okay.
on, but she's eligible to run again.
Does she
Okay.
have to go through the entire application process?
Well, yes, but it's 2 pages.
Yeah. I'll write you a letter of recommendation. Okay, so what do we want to do? I am fine with accepting a nomination to remain as chair.
Okay, it sounds like there was a nomination for you for chair. We need to clarify whether or not there was a nomination for me and then just move forward.
Can I unnominate? I didn't believe that I had nominated, but merely suggested that we nominate. So if that was taken as a nomination, then either you can decline that or I can unnominate you. But then I want to nominate you for vice chair.
You did say recommend, but I interpreted it as you were putting her name
Okay.
forward.
Okay, so how do we step back from that?
Well, if that was an incorrect interpretation, then you've clarified it.
Okay, yes, that was an incorrect interpretation. Okay, so I accept the nomination. Does it need to be seconded?
It does not need to be seconded.
Okay. Do we need public comment?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any comments from the audience?
Q&A window and the hand raising features are available. Anyone wishing to make a public comment, go ahead and indicate so, and we'll get you called on. Give everyone a few seconds here. I know I jump the gun sometimes when it feels like it's been a while. Okay, this time I'm not seeing any requests.
Okay. So, Ms. Moriarty, please perform the roll call vote.
Ms. Corinne,
So what's our vote?
this is for chair.
Yay or nay? Yes, no?
Correct.
Then yes.
Thank you. Ms. Webster,
Yes.
Ms. Woodley,
Yes.
Ms. Bralia.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so then that leaves us without a vice chair. And I would like to nominate Ms. Corin for vice chair.
I accept.
Do we have comment from the members? And is there any public comment?
The Q&A window and hand raising features are still available. Anyone wishing to do so, go ahead. Give everyone a few more seconds here. Okay, not seeing any requests at this time.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Moriarty, can you please perform the roll call vote?
Yes. Ms. Corinne?
Yes.
Ms. Webster?
Yes.
Ms. Woodley?
Yes.
Ms. Brea?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 13, selection of 2 new MAC members, 1 licensed midwife and 1 licensed physician. Ms. Moriarty, can you please update? Oh, so am I supposed to explain the nomination process? Ms. Moriarty, can you please update the members on the applications received for the 2 vacant positions on the council?
Yes, thank you. In July 2022, the medical board posted a recruitment announcement on its website for 1 licensed midwife position and 1 licensed physician position on the Midwifery Advisory Council. These positions are for a 3-year term that will become effective February 2023 and expire on June 30th, 2026. The nominee approved by the MAC today will be presented to the board for final approval at the February 2023 quarterly board meeting. The board did not receive any applications for the licensed physician position, so this position will be re-advertised after this meeting. The board received 2 applications for the vacant licensed midwife position on the MAC. The applicants are Madeline Weisner and Mason Wilson Tanev. The applicants were invited to this meeting, and the applicants present today have the opportunity to introduce themselves to the MAC and provide a brief statement. Ms. Weisner, would you like to provide a statement?
I'm going to go ahead and invite Ms. Weisner as a panelist now. Ms. Weisner, you should be able to activate video if you have that capability, and freely mute and unmute yourself. And we had a public comment from Ms. Weisner earlier. There we go. I see your line's open now, Ms. Weisner.
Hi. My name is Madeline Weisner, and I am I'm applying for a placement on the MAC as a licensed midwife member. This is actually my 2nd application to the MAC, the first of which was submitted in March of 2020, before all hell broke loose. I'm here in Sacramento. I help to run a busy nonprofit where I'm a Medi-Cal provider. I train student midwives in a class-conscious approach to midwifery care. As I teach that midwifery care is a basic human right. I attended 2 MEEK schools, and I have pretty thorough experience with the midwifery education system, both here in California and also on the other side of the world in New Zealand. I've been coming to these meetings since 2010. I also dabble in attending the medical board meetings when my schedule permits. And over the years, I guess it's been 12 years, I've really borne witness to a lot of frustration and disdain and anger from midwifery stakeholders experiencing regulation by an entity that was created by and for doctors. The promulgation of our regulations is never going to happen, given just the conflict of interest at play. The the medical lobbies influence our legislation more than we do. And we've been waiting, and we've proposed legislative fixes and strategies, and we have all these meetings, and these have proven to be very Sisyphean. The medical board staff are truly, I believe, truly vocally supportive of us having a licensed midwife board. Licensed midwives have yet to get legislation that allows us to control our own practices. And, you know, the legislature wants incremental and piecemeal reforms, and that's completely inappropriate when it comes to the lives of mothers and babies and families. So if you would have me, I am more than willing to, within the rules of the MAC, of course, engage in some new strategies to try to actually transform the regulation of licensed midwives in California. And maybe that means changing the structure of regulations under DCA, or changing the structure of the MAC. You know, what I know about the MAC is that it's not an authority, it's not regulatory, it's a communication tool, and it can be helpful to use the MAC to draw attention to just how completely absurd this all is. And I maintain that there's value to that. There's value to really calling out how absurd this all is. And perhaps that needs to be a more clear focus of the MAC. I'm happy to help with that however I can. Just to be clear, my goal is to work in solidarity with all of you and with the midwives and clients in California to reach actual outcomes and not just spin our wheels for years and years. And I really hope that if you will have me, that we can all collaborate together to actually improve things for these families and for our colleagues too. So thank you for your consideration. Hope we can figure something out.
Thank you, Ms. Weisner. Ms. Wilson-Tanev, would you like to provide a statement?
And I've also wrote Mason Wilson-Tanev. Mason, are you there? I see your video coming on. There we go. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much for having me today. My name is Mason Wilson-Tanev, and I have been a midwife in California, licensed midwife since 2001. And first, let me just say, Madeline, it's a pleasure to meet you, even remotely. It feels very strange to be in competition with someone, so I'm really looking at this more of a yes and. You seem like an excellent candidate, and the MAC would be so very lucky to have you. So let me just start by saying that. I have attended births primarily at home since 2001. Have in the past year of my career attended many, many MAC meetings and medical board meetings until I left to pursue other work within midwifery. I now work full-time at the San Francisco Birth Center as a staff midwife, where I provide intrapartum, prenatal, and postpartum care for somewhere between 8 and 15 families per month. In addition, I'm a third-year PhD student in the Department of Anthropology and Social Change at the California Institute of Integral Studies in San Francisco, where I study how the cycle of enclosure of the commons informs the field of midwifery and also of psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. My master's program, I conducted original research on why families reject all professionalized birth attendants, including licensed midwives, and choose free birth. I had noticed an uptick in free births and was curious about both the safety and the reasons that family were choosing, and realized that there was a dearth of academic information. And so I conducted some original research there. The answers I discovered led me back to the Midwifery Advisory Council and back to legislative involvement, where I hope to apply my research and to continue to address the balance between the consumer's freedom from poor practitioners and freedom to choose birth attendant who best fits their needs. California has the opportunity to innovate and create thoughtful, lasting social change to increase access and assure safety for all families seeking maternity care. And to that end, my interest would be first in relearning the MAC policies and procedures, since it has been some time since I have been involved here. And then to pursue the Midwifery Advisory Council to integrate licensed midwifery education within the university system, as Florida does, to expand access to grants, scholarships, expanding the field, and assuring that those from the community are able to serve their communities. My interest is in continuing always to address the licensed midwife, certified nurse midwife tension and opposition. And ideally, my work would bring us to consideration of establishing a third class of midwives within California. That's a long-term goal. I would love to see a registry of California midwives based on the European model, based on some of my academic research. I really very much enjoy working in community with other folks, as I do at the Birth Center, as I have with my peer review group for many years. And really thank you for allowing me some time to say hello and introduce myself.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson-Tanev. At this time, the MAC may discuss and make a nomination to recommend an applicant for the licensed midwife position to the full board.
Ms. Bralia, maybe you can let me know. Should I leave the applicants in as panelists, or is there going to be any back and forth question with them, or how would you like me to?
What's customary? I'm fine with leaving them in.
Carrie, can you shed light on it? Is that something?
I mean, I think if you have a follow-up question, now's
Okay.
the time.
I'll leave both active then. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to hear from other members of the MAC.
I have no questions for the applicants.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a nomination?
All right, I would like to nominate Madeline Weisner for the position.
I will second that. But I will say that we have two excellent applicants, and I'm sorry, I know you by your old name, Mason, and oh look, it's written right up there, Ms. Wilson-Tanev, and I would like you to encourage to reapply. If you've been on, you've heard that there will be another opening coming up. So do we, wait a minute. Oh, public comments, right? Do we
Yes,
have,
please.
yes, do we have any public comments?
Q&A window is open. Anyone wishing to make a comment, you type something in there or raise your hand. We'll get you called on. Give everyone a few seconds here. Sprayly, I'm not seeing anyone else at this time.
Okay, then we have a motion to elect Ms. Weisner. Ms. Moriarty, can you please perform the roll call vote? Did
Ms.
I do this?
Corinne?
I approve.
Ms. Webster?
I approve.
Ms. Woodley,
I approve.
sorry, Ms. Woodley,
I approve.
Ms. Bralia.
I approve.
Thank you. The nominee, Ms. Weisner, will be presented to the full board at the February 2023 quarterly board meeting for final approval.
Okay, thank you. So are we on to agenda item 15 now?
No,
Agenda item
14.
14.
14, okay. Oh, yes, there it is. Oh, yes. So agenda item number 14, discussion and possible action on 2023 Midwifery Advisory Council meeting dates. Those dates are, oh, wait, they were right there. March 30th or April 6th for the next meeting.
This is Monique Webster. I'm unavailable on April 6th.
Okay. Is everyone available on March 30th? Or does anyone know that they will be unavailable? Okay, so do we have to do this by date? Okay, so I guess,
No, you can do a slate. So you could say March 30th and September 14th,
okay.
for
So
example, and do one vote.
okay, so it's looking like March 30th works best. Is there any preference for September 7 or September 14?
I think personally, I would prefer September 14th just to keep it away from the holiday.
Okay. All right, so March 30th and September 14th. Is there any further comment from the members? And is there any comment from the audience?
Q&A window and hand raising feature available if anyone would like to make a public comment. Okay, I don't see any requests for public comment.
Okay, may I have a motion to accept March 3rd and September 14th as the dates for the upcoming Midwifery Advisory Council meetings?
This is Tisa. I move to approve the two upcoming dates for 2023.
It's March 30th, not March 3rd. I apologize.
This is Monique Webster, and I second that motion.
Thank you. Ms. Moriarty, please perform the roll call vote.
Ms. Corinne,
I approve.
Ms. Webster,
I approve.
Ms. Woodley,
I approve.
and Ms. Bralia.
I approve.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving to agenda item number 15, future agenda items. So our standing agenda items are the Medi-Cal task force, we want to, I believe, discussion and possible action on midwifery schools and information on the website. We want to continue to review that. we will need to, do we elect new officers at that meeting or at the next meeting when there aren't any officers anymore?
Ms. Brelia, I would have the election of officers. I would also have the voting on, we will be posting the licensed physician position, and we will also be posting your position and Ms. Corinne's position prior to the next meeting. So I would add those agenda items as well.
Okay. And then we want the midwifery school information to carry over, and we want to keep the letter and form for the LMAR. We would like that to remain on the agenda. Let's see what else. There anything anyone else has been thinking about they would like us to address?
Ms. Breglia, this is Marina. Just a question on a couple items, agenda items that have been on the last few agendas. You typically receive an update on midwifery related legislation and the sunset review process. And by March, it's very possible we'll have had our hearing, our sunset review hearing. We don't know yet when the date is, but it is possible by the next MAC meeting that'll have occurred. So I don't know if you want to keep that one.
Yeah, definitely we need the legislative report and then the program report and disciplinary action report. I guess those are the standing items. Let's see, are there any other items that we wanted to add or that should be carried over or added?
Can I bring up maybe a potential new item? I saw that the medical board put out that we need to have those signs in our offices now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I actually don't know too much about it. And I don't see a whole lot of information on the midwifery site specifically about the signs, the signage. So maybe if we could put that on our agenda to have some clarity about that and how midwives can start incorporating that into their practices and just making it more widely known. I know, I'm sure every midwife who has an email address on file got the same email that I did, but yeah,
I was just going to confirm that.
Yeah, I'm just curious if anybody from the audience or just like our membership as whole has questions or concerns about the new requirements that were put out by the medical board for us to have that signage up in our office or to have it available on our websites as well. So just curious. So I don't know if I just
you put it out there, and so it will seek approval from the medical board to add that. I think it's a great idea, and I'd be happy to speak on it.
Okay. Yeah, my feeling was for decades now, we've had to give that information in our informed disclosure for midwifery care, and it has not been a requirement for physicians. So, so now it's
Well, just to clarify, it has been a requirement for physicians to provide notice to consumers, but now the language that they have to provide is updated. And it's the same across all of our licensees and registrants.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, let's talk about that at the next one and see if what she said and what you said you would get approval for is how it should go. I wanted to And I don't know if this is something that would be on the MAC agenda or if it would be a request. A couple of years ago, I gave a report to the medical board on VBAC statistics and the practice of midwifery, which seemed to be really appreciated by the medical board, who didn't actually know what it is we do and how we care for our clients. And now we've had a lot of turnover on the medical board. And so I would like to suggest that we once again provide a report to the medical board about the midwifery program and what midwives are doing and what our statistics are and how we practice, so that they are they have a better understanding, since they are regulating us or overseeing.
That sounds like a future agenda item for the medical board, and so we can convey that, but also feel free to call in during public comment on future agenda items to the board and make that suggestion. But
Okay,
staff
thank
will
you.
convey it to the executive team as a suggestion as well.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more? Is there anything? Okay, so first the question to the staff, is there anything else I'm forgetting? Okay.
I
And
was actually curious if you wanted to keep establishing goals for the MAC on there, or if you want to remove that for the next agenda.
Yes, yes, we should keep discussing and establishing goals.
Okay.
Any comment from MAC members?
What is our role or responsibility to basically to advance what is going on with establishing the midwifery board? I imagine we're just making recommendations, correct? Do we play any role in this process?
Not as the MAC, except to do what you've been doing, expressing support for that change.
Okay.
Okay, and we do have medical board support for that, which is good. They are continuing to recommend that we have our own board. Do we have any public comments about the MAC agenda?
Q&A window and hand-raising features are available for anyone wishing to make a public comment about upcoming MAC agenda items. A few seconds here. Okay, I'll leave it open just in case, but I'm not seeing any requests.
Okay. Ms. Webb, could you please go over what we have listed to be on the agenda for next time?
I have medical task force, the midwifery school information on the website, election of officers, the licensed physician position, the licensed midwifery positions, letter and form for the LMAR, update on legislation and sunset review hearing, and then the standard ongoing items, which we don't list in my notes.
Okay.
So
All
the
right.
program updates, the goals and all that, that's part of the
Yeah.
standing items.
Okay.
And then I think just to add to that was also the clarity on the new law in regards to the notice to consumers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other comments from members or staff? All right. Well, thank you all very much for taking time to be here. Audience as well, we appreciate your attendance. Thank you to staff for all the work that you do for us and to the board for your willingness to serve. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.